2 on the battlements of their castle at Camelot. During an interval of peace between the 2 Gaelic wars, the young King of England was standing with his tutor, looking across the purple wastes of evening. A soft light flooded the land below them, and the slow river wound between venerable abbey and stately castle, while the flaming water of sunset reflected spires and turrets and peninsula hanging motionless in the calm air. The world was laid out before the 2 watchers like a toy, for they were on a high keep which dominated the town. At their feet they could see the grass of the outer bailey. It was horrible looking down on it, and a small foreshortened man, with 2 buckets on a yoke, making his way across to the menagerie. They could see, further off at the gatehouse, which was not so horrible to look at because it was not vertically below, the night guard taking over from the sergeant. They were clicking their heels and saluting and presenting pikes and exchanging passwords as merrily as a marriage bell, but it was done in silence for the 2, because it was so far below. They looked like lead soldiers, the little gallows glasses, and their footsteps could not sound upon the luscious sheep-nibbled green. Then, outside the curtain wall, there was the distant noise of old wives bargaining, and brats bawling, and corporals quaffing, and a few goats mixed with it, and 2 or 3 lepers in white hoods ringing bells as they walked, and the swishing robes of nuns who were kindly visiting the poor, 2 by 2, and a fight going on between some gentlemen who were interested in horses. On the other side of the river, which ran directly beneath the castle wall, there was a man plowing in the fields, with his plow tied to the horse's tail. The wooden plow squeaked. There was a silent person near fishing for salmon with worms. The rivers were not polluted in those days, and further off, there was a donkey giving his musical concert to the coming night. All the Senoises came up to the 2 on the tower smelly, as though they were listening through the wrong end of a megaphone. Arthur was a young man, just on the threshold of life. He had fair hair and a stupid face, or at any rate there was a lack of cunning in it. It was an open face, with kind eyes and a reliable or faithful expression, as though he were a good learner who enjoyed being alive and did not believe in original sin. He had never been unjustly treated, for one thing, so he was kind to other people. The king was dressed in a robe of velvet which had belonged to Other the Conqueror, his father, trimmed with the beards of 14 kings who had been vanquished in the olden days. Unfortunately, some of these kings had had red hair, some black, some pepper and salt, while their growth of beard had been uneven. The trimming looked like a feather boa. The moustaches were stuck on round the buttons. Merlin had a white beard which reached to his middle, horn-rimmed spectacles, and a conical hat. He wore it in compliment to the Saxon serfs of the country, whose national headgear was either a kind of diving cap, or the Phrygian cap, or else this cone of straw. The 2 of them were speaking sometimes, as the words came to them, between spells of listening to the evening. Well said, Arthur. I must say it is nice to be a king. It was a splendid battle. Do you think so? Of course it was splendid. Look at the way Lot of Orkney ran. After I had begun to use Excalibur, he got you down first. Caliber. As soon as I drew my trusty sword they ran like rabbits. That was nothing. It was because I was not using X. They will come again, said the magician. All 6. The kings of Orkney, Gareth, Gore, Scotland, the Tower, and 100 knights have started already. In fact, the Gaelic Confederation. You must remember that your claim to the throne is hardly a conventional one. Let them come, replied the king. I don't mind. I will beat them properly this time, and then we will see who is. The old man crammed his beard in his mouth and began to chew it, as he generally did when he was put about. He bit through one of the hairs, which stuck between 2 teeth. He tried to lick it off, then took it out with his fingers. Finally he began curling it into 2 points. I suppose you will learn someday, he said, but God knows it is heartbreaking. Uphill work. Oh yes, cried Merlin passionately. Oh, that is, cut it off. It would be a good thing if you did. I should not have to keep on tutoring at any rate. Arthur shifted his elbow on the battlement and looked. What is the matter, Merlin? He asked. Doing something wrong? I am sorry if I have. The magician uncurled his beard and blew his nose. It is not so much what you are doing, he said. It is how you are thinking. If there is one thing I can't stand, it is stupidity. I always say that stupidity is the sin against the Holy Ghost. I know you do. Now you are being sarcastic. The king took him by the shoulder and turned him round. Look, he said. What is wrong? Are you in a bad temper? If I have done something stupid, tell me. Don't be in a bad temper. It had the effect of making the aged nigromant angrier than before. Tell you, he exclaimed. And what is going to happen when there is nobody to tell you? Are you never going to think for yourself? What is going to happen when I am locked up in this wretched tumulus of mine? I should like to know. I didn't know there was a tumulus in it. Posed to be talking about started. Oh, hang the tumulus. What tumulus? What am I? Sup stupidity, said Arthur. It was stupidity when we exactly. Well, it's no good saying exactly. You were going to say something about it. I don't know what I was going to say about it. You put one in such a passion with all your this and that I am sure nobody would know what they were talking about for 2 minutes together. How did it begin? It began about the battle. Now I remember, said Merlin. That is exactly where it did begin. I said it was a good battle, so I recollect. Well, it was a good battle, he repeated defensively. It was a jolly battle, and I won it myself. And it was fun. That is he. Magician's eyes veiled themselves like a vulture's, as he vanished inside his mind. There was silence on the battlements for several minutes, while a pair of peregrines that were being hacked in a nearby field flew over their heads in a playful chase, crying out kick kick kick, their bells ringing. Merlin looked out of his eyes once more. It was clever of you, he said slowly, to win the battle. Arthur had been taught that he ought to be modest, and he was too simple to notice that the vulture was going to pounce. Oh, well, it was luck. Very clever, repeated Merlin. How many of your kerns were killed? I don't remember. Number K, said the king. Stopped in the middle of the sentence, and looked at him. Well, he said, it was not fun, then. I had not thought. The tally was more than 700. They were all kerns, of course.